Commissioner Ochoa is absent with notice. Commissioner Hill,
Here.
Chair Papp,
Here.
Chair Beamsterfer is absent with notice.
Commissioner Hill, would you please lead us in the invocation and flag salute?
We'll do the invocation first. Lord, we ask that you bless this meeting and all those present. And Lord, also give us the wisdom to make the best informed decisions here tonight at this planning commission meeting. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda item number 4 is for public comment period. This would be for items that are not on the agenda this evening. When called upon to speak, please speak clearly into the microphone at the dais, or at the lectern. This is the dais, sorry. And state your name for the record. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments should be directed to the commission and not to the audience. And please note that the commission can take no action on any discussion that you bring forth this evening. We cannot take action on matters that are not on the agenda. Ms. Hernandez, have you received any requests to speak forms?
Chair Papp, yes, I have, and I will call upon the public in order received. Roy Fells.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Roy Michael Fales. I am speaking today about the Hemet Logistics West Warehouse project. The project's unacceptable solution to water runoff from their property is to cut in a retention basin to drain off the water from heavy rains. A retention basin is a ditch that collects stormwater runoff and stores it in permeable, remember that word, soil until it absorbed. Essentially, they will dig a ditch with spillways within a matter of a few feet to the 35 homes that share the western property line of the project. The existing soil has already failed its water absorption perk test. The land is not permeable. I spoke with the engineer personally. He told me it failed. I have lived right on the property line of this field for 8 years and have seen large amounts of water after many large storms flow to the south, to the airport. Their solution is to cover 60 acres of property with asphalt and let the water flow following the storm drains that they're putting in to a ditch right next to our homes, where it is to sit until it dissipates, a perfect setting for a mosquito breeding ground. It is not permeable. Just to give you a sense of the numbers, 1 inch of rain on 60 acres is 1.6 million gallons, 27,000 gallons per acre. Historically, in this valley, there have been numerous major storms followed up by additional storms within the next 24 hours. In 1980, this whole North Valley flooded from a series of 9 storms rolling through in a matter of a few days. In Temecula, the week of November 2007, just shy of 10 inches of rain fell. Their plan is to hold it back from our homes with a ditch. This is a recipe for disaster. Any excess that will flow into our homes and additional overflow will flow south and then west along our southern property line, which is the way it does now with large amounts of water running west on Whittier Road. The problem is there are only 2 exits from our community, the north entrance to Florida Avenue and the emergency exit on the southwest corner exiting to Whittier. With the ditch plan, the southwest emergency exit will be flooded by all this water. This would cause over 1,200 plus elderly and disabled people only one exit to escape through a massively backed up Florida Avenue. They need to build a complete storm sewer system to draw water away from the homes. 3.7 from the general plan. Neighborhood compatibility refers to the proper balance that must be achieved when new development occurs in an existing neighborhood. The intent of the general plan is to assure that growth and modernization is done in a manner that recognizes and respects the unique features and characteristics of established neighborhoods, thereby ensuring continued enjoyment of the city's quality of life for all residents. I have said many times before, this project is seriously flawed in so many ways and in the wrong place. This is just one example.
I now call upon Jewel Essard. Is it Jewel? Jewel Essard? Eschard? No, no Jewel or Julie? How about Jason Dunn?
My name is Jason Dunn, and I'm a resident also of the Lakes of Hemet West Mobile Home Park, right next to the proposed warehouse site. It's a senior park, as you know, with older residents that have breathing problems, emphysema, and you name it. We have over 20 residents that are over 90 years old, and we have over 1,000 residents that are all senior citizens. If we have hundreds and thousands of trucks right next door, this will severely affect the air quality at the park and the new noise pollution, the loading ramps slamming down day and night, giant floodlights flooding into the house. All of this will severely impact the livability of the park. A lot of the people talk about the benefit of the warehouse and the fact that jobs will be created. The developers will promise hundreds of jobs with health insurance, benefits, vacation, sick leave, 401k. The picture they paint sounds like a dream job. Well, this is a fallacy. There will be some jobs tomorrow. There will be some the next year and the year after, but soon automation will take over. I'd like to tell you about a company in Germany called Wytron. They make automated stock picking equipment. They are expanding all over the world. They're currently in 54 countries and have already installed stock picking equipment in 2,000 warehouses. They are in the United States now. These devices will work 24/7, no sick days, no vacation, no benefits, and they have a life expectancy of 21 years per device. The company brags in their promotion material that the entire system can be ran by a skeleton crew. These warehouses are proposed soon after the construction is complete. They will start moving towards automated systems. So the promise of jobs will be short-lived due to automation. So not only will the automation happen, but the technology and the equipment will be manufactured in Germany, not in the United States. I assume the majority of the construction jobs will also be from individual companies in LA, not in Hemet. So in conclusion, the trucks will destroy our road. They will pollute our air. The livability of the park will be destroyed. Our resale values will plummet. The promise of jobs will be short-lived. And if the city of Hemet approves the warehouse project, it will create a situation with the residents at the park where they cannot continue to live there with the air pollution, the light pollution, the noise, and they can't afford to move because they cannot afford it. They will be in the proverbial between a rock and a hard place. We all moved to Hemet to live in our little bit of paradise in our twilight years. Our tranquility is threatened by this warehouse proposal. If this project is approved, it will truly be the definition of elder abuse. I repeat, this project will be elder abuse. Thank you for your time.
Timothy Cole,
Fourscore, no. Um, my name is Timothy Cole. I'm a resident at Lakes at Hemet West. I'm currently the vice president for the Homeowners Association. I'm here to talk about some issues that I think will deeply affect all of us. We're a park that have a lot of activities outside. Probably 80% of our time we're spending outside. And with the environmental impact that's proposed with this project would affect activities such, we have horseshoes where our state champions are here. We have pickleball, we have lawn bowling, shuffleboard, fishing, golf, lawn concerts, walking trails, swimming pools. All this would be affected because we're out exposed to the air and the impact of the environmental concerns. You know, it's interesting, the city came to us as a community because we're a big impact in the area, asking us for support for many projects in this community. And we came forward and we supported. So it's our time now to ask you to support us. We have a serious problem here, and I think we need to be able to work together and work this problem out. And I leave one question with the committee and with the council. If your parents were living here or your grandparents were living here, would you make a different decision that you're making right now, maybe? Thank you.
Judy Chittenden,
Good evening. My name is Tuta Chittenden, president of the Hemet West Shuffleboard Club. I've lived at the lakes for 14 years, which is on the west side of this new project. I'm a member mostly of all facets of shuffleboard, District 7, CSA, NSA, and on the board for the Zaboba Classic. We hold league play, tournament play all year long within the city. The Saboba Classic, a week-long tournament sponsored by the Saboba Foundation, brings in 150 to 200 players from all over the United States and Canada. All are over 55, most of them with health issues. They stay in our hotels and they spend their money here. For this tournament, the lakes hold the orientation and the awards along with games during the week. We all have to get from one venue to another throughout the day to play in a short amount of time. Sure wouldn't want these activities not to happen due to poor air quality and or congestion due to overabundance of trucks and traffic. Our outside activities, like Tim said, is the walking, the swimming, biking, golf, horseshoes, pickleball, and even taking our dogs to the dog park will be limited. Please reconsider. Thank you.
Jane Piccinino,
Hello, my name is Jane Piccanano, and I live at the Lakes of Hemet West. I am a volunteer for the Tender Loving Care Club, TLC. There are over 25 of us who try to engage our residents to attend the events that our recreation club puts on. Most of our retired residents have health problems already. If this warehouse has diesel trucks running 24/7, how many of our 23 over 90-year-old people will be able to enjoy their retirement lifestyle? This area next door to a senior mobile home park should be used for something other than industrial. Paris has over 90 warehouses, and we don't want to look like Paris. The air quality on human health, is there going to be a health risk assessment for retirees? The heavy truck activity in the area will raise the ozone for lung irritation, inflammation, and worsening of existing chronic health conditions, even at low levels of exposure. The small particles of diesel can reach deep into the lung where they can contribute to a range of health problems, irritation to eyes, throat, and nose, heart and lung disease, and even lung cancer. We have a community of over 55 plus to over 90 years of age. This can affect health when people cannot afford healthy living. Medical care is essential to our retirees with the fire department, ambulances, and emergency personnel in Hemet West on a daily basis. We should strive to provide a high quality of life for all residents, regardless of their age. Negative impacts of land use, change, environmental hazards, and climate change on disadvantaged communities. Our community is actively working to reduce the impacts of poor air quality on our residents. We hope the EIR, the Environmental Impact Report, will be preparing an updated air quality analysis that adequately evaluates the impact on construction and operation of the project on local air quality. One example found that people that live within a half mile of a warehouse experience increased rates of asthma and heart attacks. We would be next door to it. Warehouses are a massive source of pollution by attracting thousands of polluting truck trips daily. Diesel emits dangerous levels of nitrogen oxide and particulate matters that carry devastating health impacts, including asthma, COPD, cancer, and premature death, even for short-term exposure. These are called diesel death zones by physicians. In 2022, Riverside County was ranked as the second worst for ozone population in the nation, and these warehouses will add to it. An EIR should be prepared to evaluate the impact of the warehouse on our community adjacent to the project. Exposure from projects lasting more than 6 months should be evaluated for the duration, which takes 17 months. We want to be a hometown, not an industrial zone. How would you like your grandparents living next to the warehouse that will shorten their life? I pray you will take this into consideration for our retirement community. Thank you.
Trish Kramer.
Hello, my name is Trish Kramer. I'm the secretary for the Lakes of Hemet West Recreation Club. We are a licensed business here in Hemet. We operate a nonprofit business whose focus is to offer entertainment and activities to our residents. Currently, we have about 800 capacity for 800 homes and plan for about 200 more within a year. This is an active manufacturing home community for people 55 years of age and older. Often we have been known to or referred to as the jewel of the valley. As an active senior community, we have many clubs that sponsor activities such as horseshoes, pickleball, men's and women's golf, shuffleboard, horseshoes, bowling. These clubs have tournaments throughout the year. These tournaments bring participants from all over, which brings in revenue and taxes. We also contribute to various charities, back to school, women's shelter, and to show appreciation to the our first responders. We invite them to a barbecue and breakfast. The Lakes of Hemet West Recreation Club has been a friend to the city. In addition to the clubs mentioned above, we have dance, aquasize, bunco, ladies of the lakes, ceramics, computer, exercise, fishing, TLC, threaders, Saturday breakfast, taco night Tuesday. All these clubs are overseen by the Recreation Club, but they have their own officers and maintain their own books. They have separate checking and savings accounts. All the clubs at the lakes contribute financially to the city, one way or the other. If you allow this warehouse to be built, it will have an extremely negative impact on our seniors who live at the Lakes of Hemet West. Air pollution, noise pollution, extra traffic, large intimidating trucks. Those seniors that have a breathing issue would not be able to enjoy this wonderful environment. As a result of less participation, we will lose our business, be forced to do away with all these activities. All these things will have a negative impact on our lives, not to mention the value of our homes. Any potential buyers will be reluctant to move here once they see that monstrosity next door and the pollution. Please be a friend to the Lakes of Hemet West community. Do not allow the warehouse to go through.
Cheryl Pierce.
Oh, good evening.
It's going to seem a little bit redundant. A lot of us are sharing much the same story. I'm Cheryl Pierce. I've been in the park for about 8 years. These are all family and friends by association. The topic that I'm going to speak on sounds very similar to what we're all talking about, and that's the health of our seniors. I'm part of TLC, which Tender Loving Care. So we care about the health of our seniors. And I'm sure that you care about the health of your senior family members also. So the specific topic that I've been asked to speak on has to do with valley fever, which is not shown anything addressed by the logistics project plan. So to give you some additional information on valley fever and how long it lasts, it can last for several weeks to maybe several months. And a small number of people can have ongoing diseases in their lungs, and it can last for years, causing many people pulmonary and lung issues. Valley fever is most common in adults ages 60 and over, and it can affect people of any age, of course. States usually report that a total of 10,000 to 20,000 cases of valley fever yearly in the United States. Most cases occur in California and Arizona among people over 60 years of age. People usually contact valley fever by breathing in microscopic fungal spores in the air after the soil has been disturbed by wind or construction activities. The disease is not contagious, but people can become infected simply by living where the fungus occurs. When fungal spores are present, wind and any work activity that disturbs the soil, such as digging, grading, and other earth-moving operations, can cause the spores to become airborne, therefore increasing the risk of valley fever to all people on or near the construction sites where the fungus is present and who are exposed to dusty conditions, and windblown dust are increased at the risk of being infected. So what are the symptoms? Well, the symptoms are fever, cough, tiredness, shortness of breath, headache, chills, night sweats, joint aches and pains, rashes, nodules, and the list goes on, painful swollen joints, meningitis. Affects our immune system. It affects people with diabetes. They're already weakened, additions, already aggravated anyway, but they're going to be at a higher risk of lung infections. So the question I ask you is, please don't let our family and friends become infected this way. It just isn't necessary. And I thank you for your time.
Michelle Carver.
Good evening. My name is Micheline Carver, and I'm a resident of Hemet. Even though I live on the east end, I'm very concerned about this project for several reasons. First, it's our Hemet Valley location and topography. We are a valley. We are a basin. We are surrounded by mountains and hills. This traps air. And this is also why the pollution from the trucks would be very, very detrimental to the health, as these other folks have shared with you. So that is my first concern. I will still be affected by the air in this valley. And so will my grandchildren. That bothers me. Secondly, we have no freeway exit or access. So I'm very concerned why we are putting warehouses in the middle of a town with no access. Who's coming into these warehouses? And what is the purpose for these warehouses? I haven't heard any of that. And that concerns me. And I know our valley needs jobs, but I would say that these warehouses may just be for storage of excess products, in which case there won't be very many jobs. And again, as has been mentioned earlier, they will be eventually automated. So the idea of long-lasting jobs will not happen with these warehouses. And also the pay for these jobs tends to be about what you get at a fast food. So I can't say it's going to be high-paying jobs as well. The other thing, according to Google, there are 4,000 warehouses in the Inland Empire, and 7.9% of those are currently vacant.
I'm not a mathematician, wish I was, but to me, that's about 200 empty warehouses already. So why more and why in Hemet and why next to a community? That makes absolutely no sense to me. Finally, the congestion in there, I do like to shop at Winco, but with the congestion with the trucks in and out, I would probably go elsewhere, and that could hurt all those businesses in that center. And then finally, also the design that I've seen on paper of this warehouse for Hemet West would make it very difficult for both our fire department and our police department to monitor the area and keep it safe for all the community. So again, I join with all these others in urging you to please do not approve this project. Thank you.
James Taylor. James Taylor.
My name is James Taylor, and yes, I am not the one that did it. I have hair and I don't play guitar. So we got that all situated right off. Mr. Pep, I believe it is, sir. It's nice to see a silver-haired person. And guess what, people? All of you are going to be stuck with it at a time. The only thing I have to say is I have listened to the folks before me. They have expressed their opinions, and you have heard facts and figures. Monique, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your last name because I've never heard it. I believe I wrote to you a while back, and you have seen it. The last time I was here, I gave you a prospectus. To reiterate all this, you have maps of Hemet West. Now I'm going to give you simple facts because I'm a simple person. I flew an airplane, and that was because I was stupid. But anyway, there is 458 people that live right next to 147 feet of concrete and warehouse. 458. Well, that isn't too bad, except all of them are senior citizens. There is 9 separate pulmonary diseases. In the area that I live in, I see an oxygen truck providing oxygen. The warehouse with all its grandeur, the rebuilding of the ground, which is not foul, is going to cause a whole bunch of pulmonary problems. That's simple. It's there. You already have it with a farming community that covers my truck. So what are you going to do with 2,400 diesel trucks? Live with it? Nah. 198 people live on the other side of the proposed warehouse. They're all over 55. And I would say maybe half of them are younger than I because I'm older than dirt. But the whole thing is, do you want to kill them? The warehouse will. That's a fact. I've seen it. I've turned around and blown the heck out of the doggone things before because of my job. When you have 2,400 diesel trucks coming and going with dirt, and then all the other ones that want to come in from Paris in the I-15 and to 215 and other ways in, along with the roads that they're going to tear up,
Mr. Taylor, I'm very
along
sorry
with,
to interrupt
along
you.
with the,
Time has expired, sir.
pardon?
I'm very sorry to interrupt you, but your time has expired, sir. Could you please quickly wrap up?
Okay. Well, I've said what I'm going to say, but keep in mind, you're hurting people, and that's wrong.
Margaret Hennessy. Margaret Hennessy.
I live at the Hemet West. The warehouse project plans to take, we have 25 to 30. We have 25 to 30 very old, beautiful trees that border Hemet West, which clean the air and gives us shade. The warehouse project will cement in this vast area, not just for warehouses, but to provide, as they have told us, 210 parking slips for tractor trailer trucks. That's 210 tractor trailer slips arriving and departing daily. We will be sharing the same roads with these huge trucks. They're very dangerous. I'm really frightened about driving on the roads with tractor trailers. The fumes from diesel trucks is very toxic. I don't want to breathe in diesel fumes every day. No one does. We need clean air. We need safe roads. Please, please keep our community safe. It's not only loss of value of our homes, but a quality of life. But thank you for your time.
Pyatt.
Good evening. You pronounced it correctly. Most people don't. Anyway, my name is Kamara Pyatt. I also live at the Lakes at Hemet West. I'm going to address something that no one has addressed yet. Our pets. When you dig up all the dirt, you get fleas. I'm allergic to fleas. If I get bitten by a flea, I get a lump and I get a rash. And my puppy dog and our cats scratch. I found out today that fleas also carry worms. And so our animals can also get worms. My dog happens to be 15 years old. She already has trouble breathing. She's a little Shih Tzu, so she's got a snot, very, very little. And I know that many of us in our park have pets. We take them to the doggy park. We associate, we banter back and forth with our neighbors. Our dogs have friends that they play with at the doggy park. I don't want to be in the doggy park when our air quality is so bad. Our animals will be affected also. And I know that maybe that's not an issue for all of you. However, how many of us right now, right here, have pets? Okay, now that's just a small sample. So I'm asking not only for our own welfare, but for the welfare of our animals. Please do not put all that horrible stuff next to us. Thank you for your time.
David Smead.
Good evening, I'm David Smead. Wife and I live over in Del Webb and Mustang and Warren Road. And we're both thrilled to death that you guys opened with prayer, and not very enthusiastic, but it was prayer. And we are thrilled to death with the leadership in Hemet. Now, real quality people. Wife and I work with Adopt a Block and Adopt a Street, and we are active in other areas in the city. And we see a positive change coming. Until yesterday, when we were driving down Kirby, just south of Acacia, and we saw these earth movers, and we were wondering what was going on. So we started asking around, found out they're going to put a warehouse in there. Then we found out also they're going to put a warehouse or planned to put a warehouse over on Warren and Simpson Road. Well, that kind of surrounds us on both sides with these warehouses. We are upset about that because I don't see how you could possibly understand that the quality of life of the people living around here would not be affected by those warehouses with all the traffic coming back and forth with the big trucks, with light pollution, air pollution. It's just hard to understand how that would be a benefit to our community. And thank you for your time.
Al Reed.
My name is Al Freed. Good evening, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to express our feelings about this protected warehouse. I am the founding director of the American Energy Project, an IRS charity founded in 2006, and we are a business licensed in Hemet, license number 00286. Our project is focused on saving energy and improving air quality and climate change. We are very concerned about the warehouse's effect on air quality. You've heard from others about noise pollution and congestion, etc. I would like to discuss with you the effect of diesel trucks and the emission of CO2 into our atmosphere. One diesel truck emits 223 tons of CO2 per day. We're now talking about 330 trucks per day pulling in and out of this warehouse in Hemet. That's now 73,509 tons of CO2. Multiply that by the 365-day, 24-hour, 7-day-a-week warehouse that is being proposed. That's 26,860,350 tons of CO2 emitted into our atmosphere every year. What that means to Hemet, this will drastically change the air quality, making it nearly impossible for us to use our outdoor areas for seniors, people with health issues, people who work outdoors, children who play outdoors. This warehouse project will emit nearly 27 million tons of CO2 into our air quality. What happens when we all decide to move away from this terrible air pollution to save our health? Or if we die, who is then going to pay the taxes to supply Hemet with its expenses? We have one question. is this warehouse really worth adding 27 million tons of CO2 into our atmosphere? Thank you for your time.
Kate Butler. Kate Butler.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Kate Butler. I live at the Lakes at Hemet West, and that was my husband. I'm here to say I don't care about the 27 million. The word million is missing from your handout, by the way, at the bottom, highlighted for you. The 27 million tons of CO2 is going to be administered into the air, whether it's administered in Hemet or not. I'm pro-business. I'm happy that somebody wants to deliver some goods. Am I wrong to not want it to be delivered next door to me? The one thing we noticed when we moved out of the beach at Oceanside to come out here to live a year ago was how much land there is. Why this site? It makes no sense to me. I asked all my neighbors here from the Lakes at Hemet West I'm giving up some of my time to them, to make a lot of noise and let you know how many are here. Hemet West, the Lakes, yay! I'm learning something from the Olympics. So we've been seen, counted, and heard on our live stream. Thank you all for that. I have no more data to give you. The data's been put here. But I am very aware that I've never seen a semi-truck, a diesel truck, turned off. Have you? They're running while people are sleeping in them. They're running to do business with women of the night. They're running. They're always running. Maybe nobody mentioned that yet, but they're always running. So the 27 million tons of CO2 in the world, we're all going to eat a little bit of that. But they're going to be sitting there running the whole time. There's a truck driver here who'll be able to tell you more about what that life is like. But I do know this, in the state of California, everybody's very concerned about endangered species. And before you can build anything on a site, you have to check for the three-toed frog, right? And all of those little tiny things that we might be disturbing or killing off because they're endangered. I think everybody here has told you we're endangered. Please consider that. Thank you.
Dan Kelly.
My name is Dan Kelly. I am the president of the Recreation Club at the Lakes at Hemet West. I thought about preparing a speech tonight, but I thought I'd rather speak from the heart. My job, which I volunteered for, is to see that all of our residents have fun things to do in their lives, whether it's a dance, a potluck dinner. One of our more popular events that we have is a family fishing event where we have our grandkids come and spend time with us. We take them out on our lakes and teach them how to fish, build those family relationships. We have outdoor activities. We have a beautiful 9-hole golf course, 2 holes which are very close to where this project is supposed to be. We have tons of outdoor activities, horseshoes, pickleball, shuffleboard. It's really given life to our community, and that's been the most heartwarming thing for me in my job. Diesel emissions of unburnt fuel are highly carcinogenic. And those are some of the things that we'll face. I have trouble wrapping my head around the word logistics, because part of that is logic. And how is there logic of building a warehouse facility so far away from the freeway? There's so much vacant land along the freeways where the airflow from the traffic will help clean the air from all the trucks that are parked at the warehouse facilities. So I have trouble seeing the logistics of building a warehouse so close to a senior community like we are. I hope that, everybody can look at it and see the flaws of this plan. I know they bought the land because it was cheaper than buying it closer to the freeway. But I mean, it's hard to understand why they would want it so far from the freeway and so close. Another project that has been proposed is an expansion of our park to build homes on the vacant land between our park and East Florida. That will also necessitate moving our security gate closer to East Florida. We have occasionally traffic issues where delivery trucks coming in, they need to check in with our security people. Residents trying to get in have to wait. We can very easily wind up with another in and out feature on West Florida where you get traffic backed up on Florida trying to get into our park. I just don't see the logistics of building a warehouse this close to so many senior citizens. Thank you for your time.
Richie Lucaso.
Hello, Richie Lacasso. I've been in Hemet for 14 years. And I just learned about this, surprisingly, 2 days ago. And I talked to my friends and they hadn't heard about it. So I had a bunch of questions to ask. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. And then I was told that I can't ask questions. So couple of points. The first is, and this point has been made, incongruity between the warehouse and its surroundings. And I think of that and I wonder what would the famous architect, Lloyd Wright, oh, yeah, would he be turning over in his grave at the notion of taking a huge, monstrous logistics center, replete with all of the negatives that have been voiced, and then inserting it in the heart of a retirement community and a bedroom community where there are lots of children as well. I think he'd be standing here and you'd be seeing something quite remarkable in listening to what he would have to say. So there's a real problem with incongruity. And further, from a psychological perspective, we can adapt to certain things. But incongruity, it always irritates. And for those who live there and will be driving up and down Kirby, instead of it being a nice idyllic drive with a beautiful tree that's now gone, it will be that vision that we have. Another aspect is, in addition to the health and the other factors that have been voiced, what does it symbolize? What does it symbolize to somebody who comes into this town and says, oh my God, what is that huge, monstrous building doing right in the center of this community? You've got beautiful Seven Hills on one side. You've got the beautiful village on another side. Who is responsible for that? What would it symbolize to somebody who's considering moving they could say, well, we could go to Hemet. Wait a minute. Isn't that the place where they put this great, big, ugly logistics center right in the middle of a bunch of nice residents? Yeah, I think it is. Well, how do we know what they're going to do if we move there? How do we know what they're going to do to us? And I think that's a reasonable point too. The other thing that I want to say, I know my time's running out, and that is I'd love to see an analysis of the rough projection of the income Hemet would receive, and then just try to quantify all of the different expenses that would be associated with the infrastructure that's going to have to endure and withstand the trucks and all of the pollutants and everything else, to try to get an idea.
Sir, I'm very sorry, but your time has expired.
I'll wrap it. To get an idea if the sacrifice that everybody here and so many others like me who don't even know about it is worth that added amount of financial income. Thank you. Thank you very much.
James Groff.
Good evening. My name is James Groth. I'm a resident of Valley Hermosa for about the last year and a half, after 20 years in Malibu where the area is clean. And they do look after the residents. I have to echo the comments made by these wonderful citizens who have lived here much longer than I and know this area better than I. I am, though, one of the veterans that does suffer from COPD and asthma. So the diesel trucks are absolutely a concern for me and my dog, by the way. I wonder what the benefits are. I've yet to hear much in the way of benefits. I hear it's employment. At the last meeting, I asked, who owns this distribution center? The lady didn't know. Research says it's the Chinese. And we know how the Chinese handle business. They don't employ much of the locals. They employ their own people. AI will take that over quickly, and as one of the other individuals pointed out, automation will take care of the rest. So there's not much in the way of jobs. So I asked the question, what is the benefit again? We see what the negatives are that have been pointed out. Safety is one, too. Certainly health. How can it be justified to put 1 million square feet in a residential area surrounding schools and senior residents? I don't see it other than perhaps it's a tax benefit. I ask you to reconsider. Look at your downtown area. It's an embarrassment. There is no downtown area. Look at Harvard. There's empty stores. I have nowhere to go for entertainment here. There's no nightlife. There's no art scene. There's no music scene. There's nothing but franchised restaurants here. And now you want distribution centers? They're along the freeway everywhere. I also asked a lady last time too, what about the one in Riverside that the same company owns? It's closed. She didn't know that. What happens if they close this thing? There's no real benefit. Please refocus your attention on what you have to work with here. That is what could be a downtown area with some unique brands, some upscale stores, some reason for people to stay in Hemet and to come at Hemet again. I thank you for your attention tonight.
Stephen Westbrook.
Brooke, I am not a resident of Hemet West. I live across town, but like one before me who also lives across town, we drive through that area. That in many ways is the center of town. Many retail establishments that you all use are there. and it's going to be so crowded with trucks coming and going through that area. I can't imagine a more inappropriate place to put a warehouse. My opinion. Thank you.
I'm now calling Shaw Rosenroger. And I also have a request to speak from David Von Wald, who is yielding his time to Shaw Rosenroger.
Good evening. Thank you for serving our city and taking the time to listen tonight. With your approval of the Newland Kirby project, you've ushered a new era for our valley and our city, warehouses and diesel trucks. I wasn't present here on December 5th last year, but I watched the video recording of the meeting. This was an easy sell for the developer because you were not ready and our community was not ready. I'm here to ask you to put this on the schedule, a study session dedicated to warehouses and their impact on our community. Besides the project you have already approved, there are 2 more in the planning process. At the December 5th meeting, you had 1 public comment from a local resident, Mr. Craig Hips. He complimented you on how easy you made it possible to bring a warehouse to Hemet. And within a few weeks, he put in a request for 2 more warehouse projects on properties just north and west of the Newland Kirby project. So now we have a total of 5 warehouses in various planning stages. But neither you nor the community fully understands what is at stake. The developer representative told you that they want to come here because there is such a willing and able workforce available, and they will not have to commute to work. He did not tell you that communities all over the inland region are starting to understand the devastating impacts of warehouses. The traffic, the pollution, the noise from operations, the lights shining bright all night. Communities throughout the region are fighting back and rejecting these developments. That's why they come here. Last month in Riverside, a huge warehouse complex was turned down after a long and sustained community effort. People do not want these polluting giants close to where they live. It is that simple. You do not locate warehouses near a residential neighborhood the same way you wouldn't do it with a sewer treatment plant, a slaughterhouse, or any other dirty industry. Warehouses are dirty, noisy, and generate hundreds and thousands of truck trips per day. So the developers figured, let's go to Hemet. These people are so desperate for any economic development, they will take anything. And they were right. On the first warehouse, we were not ready, and most importantly, you were not ready. If you are going to make decisions about warehouses, I want you to know the facts. I would like to present you the research paper, A Region in Crisis, a rationale for a public state of emergency in the Inland Empire. That's one of the papers I gave you. Most of you only got the executive summary. But you can easily find it online. This paper lists the many problems community are struggling with in our region, when warehouses are allowed to be located right next to residential areas. There are over 40,000 logistics warehouses in our region. But we never thought they would make it to Hemet. Our location just does not make sense. The additional distance trucks have to travel on surface streets already choked with traffic lights, stop signs, makes a warehouse in Hemet more expensive to operate. There are scores of warehouses under construction, and some of them are already standing empty. A slight economic recession and a glut of warehouses, guess which locations will be deserted first? The ones away from freeways, the ones that are more expensive to operate. I'm asking that you schedule a study session for you and for the community to have time to talk about warehouses. Do we want more of them? Where shall we locate them? What price in health and environmental degradation are we willing to pay for the economic benefits? Who will pay the price? There are excellent guidelines from CARB and from the California Attorney General. One of the papers I gave you is called Warehouse Projects, Best Practices and Mitigation Measures to Comply with the California Environmental Quality Act. Have you looked at these recommendations? I'm asking that you fulfill your promise to the city and its citizens to seriously consider all the pros and cons of each development project. Don't fill our valley with diesel trucks and warehouses. Please schedule a study session on warehouses. I think you're getting a clear message from the community that we need a conversation where you can participate, where you can answer questions, not just sit there and listen passively. It's in your hands, and you can be proactive. You can do it. See, do I have any time left? No, I'm out. Okay, thank you so much.
Nancy Austin.
Hi, I'm Nancy Austin. I've lived here for 25 years, and I moved here because my parents lived here like a lot of other people. It was a nice, quiet community. I wanted to be close to them in their twilight years, and I've really enjoyed living here and coming involved in a lot of the activities that I enjoy. I'm having a hard time understanding how warehouses fit into this town. It seems, as a couple of other people have pointed out, so incongruous with the kind of community that I thought Hemet was and that I felt like it has been all the time I've lived here. So with over, I read today, over 1.25 billion square feet of warehouse facilities that already exist in the Inland Empire, I just can't understand why Hemet has to be part of that, buildup. It's, as it's been pointed out, not all of those warehouses are even in full use yet. So why build more? I don't know who owns them. And we seem to have heard at the last meeting that the proposed warehouse next to Lakes at Hemet West, they don't even know who all the tenants are going to be. So how do you know what the impact is going to be? How do you know how many trucks are going to be coming in and contributing to this nitrous or nitrogen oxide that we're going to be all breathing? I just, I think about the one on Kirby and how close it is to Mary Henley Park, which is one of the most used parks in Hemet, where I see kids playing almost every day, and I go there to walk a couple of laps. And I think nobody's going to want to be here, not when trucks are less than 1.5 blocks away. And as Charlie mentioned on this State of California Warehouse Projects Best Practices measures by our Attorney General, the least distance between a warehouse is 300 meters. I don't actually think there's 300 meters between Hemet West and what they're proposing. So we're not even following our own best practices by the state of California. So I second the motion to have a study. I really think more talk needs to be done before we go any further with any of these warehouses, because I think they've chosen us because they think we're desperate, and we're not that desperate. There's other uses for our nice land that we have left in Hemet in the city limits, and I think you can do better. Thank you.
Shelley Lyons.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shelley Lyons, and I just want to say everyone here spoke very highly and had some good advice. As I myself, I'm a truck driver. I've been doing this for over 38 years. I ran over 48 states. Reason why I gave you all the paper up there stating I just like you know what to look for. And my sister's right about the air quality control and trucks running all night. This picture is true. You will see a lot of trucks run down the highway, smoking like a train. They do not care. There's a lot of owner operators, and few companies, but mainly a lot of owner operators. As I say, I was an owner operator. I take pride in what I do. That second sheet that you have under there is called Highway Watch. I went through Torrance Highway Patrol. I had to pass the test to get that sheet of paper. But the reason why I had this hat on, because I work for Walmart. And I like to talk to you about that another day, another time, how their situation is. But what I want to let everyone know here, when you see a truck sitting on the side of the road and he's doing this, taking his 2 days off, which we call 34 hours, he's sitting on the side of the road, mainly in the cul-de-sac or in the, in the cul-de-sac and one of them, that might just say cul-de-sac. The driver, he's sitting over there, either changing his oil, working on the motor, and he's dumping that fluid down the drain. I seen this happen in Corona. I had to call the police and I let them know this is what's going on. I would love if our city gonna get on this. I mean, let's react on it real quick. There is a company that I heard you guys already qualified to move in here, gonna put a warehouse. I don't have nowhere where it's going, but I would like to say it's already in. Let's make an example out of that one. Give them guys designated parking. When I worked at Saya, the drivers that come in and had to do their 10-hour layover, they was not allowed to lay in their truck. They had sleeping quarters for the drivers. And that was it. Now, when you get owner operators come out here from other sorts of life, other countries, and they want to sit on the side of the road, they're going to be throwing their piss bottles out. Excuse me, saying they're going to be throwing them out the truck. That's human waste. And they take a crap in the bucket. They toss that all out. Who is left to clean that up? The city of Hemet. Give them designated parking where they can park. And if the company they pulling for is over here, then we hold that company responsible. That's what Walmart does. And every driver that works for Walmart, if I get a ticket in my car, I'm gonna lose my safety bonus with them. And I get 3, I'm losing my job. Let's like a coach on the football field. His players get out there and do something wrong. Let's go to the warehouse. Let's clean it up. Let's not let it get that far. I love that. Owner operators, like myself, I live in Hemet. I moved out here. I love it. I love where I live. I love my property value and I want to stay up and I'm pretty sure everybody else here too. So my home right here, you got a land over there, let's give them designated parking where they can park their truck. Because if he park on the side of the road, State Street, another guy gonna come in, he gonna do the same. He gonna do the same. Before you know it, you're gonna have a whole line of trucks lined up out there, parked land overnight. That's not right. And they gonna run, like my sister said, they running all night. They do not turn them off. When the truck turn off, they got that little pony motor on the side. That thing kick out so much fumes, you'll be surprised. So much.
Sir, I'm very sorry. Your time has expired.
Okay, I apologize, but thank you all. I think y'all have made a good point. And I left a paper so you can, my number's on there. Call me anytime.
Becky Grass.
Good evening. My name is Becky Grass. I am the HOA president at the Lakes at Hemet West. Our HOA has been in existence for more than 20 years, and I'm only the second president, second to Larry Graves, who some of you may have known as a loyal friend to the city. Perhaps the most exciting change in our HOA
The most exciting change our HOA has undergone this year is to ask for and receive a 501c4 nonprofit social welfare designation, operating primarily to further the common good and general welfare of our park and the greater community through civic betterment and social improvements. We believe that through our own efforts, we can become a model for other senior communities in the area and an asset to the city. A social welfare group may further its exempt purposes through lobbying as its primary activity without jeopardizing the exempt status. As a community of 1,200 voters and counting, this is a powerful new tool for us as we work towards a better life for all in Hemet. That said, our HOA vehemently opposes the introduction of warehouse systems to Hemet, particularly the one proposed for our eastern border. Rezoning the land to industrial lays the groundwork for factories and warehouses that are supposed to be separated from residential neighborhoods. Some of our homes are literally 5 feet from the industrial line. The EPA recommends a minimum of 1,000 feet, and that actually isn't enough. Cities are supposed to tailor industrial zoning laws to fit their economic needs while ensuring quality of life for residents. The project doesn't align with your mission statement, and it certainly does not align with our way of life or anyone else's for that matter. And no one has given us a cohesive reason as to why this particular site was chosen for this industrial project. As that tract of land is part of a decades-old annexation, number 96139, it does not seem that the city will even gain much in revenue from property taxes. How is this a good deal for anyone? The statistics are in from all over the Inland Empire, all over the U.S. Warehouses and the obligatory trucks and rail services needed have caused increased traffic, pollution, and a decline in the health of residents exposed to that pollution. Why would you want to do that to this beautiful town? Our organization could partner with you on beautification for the city, helping to make it a tourist destination. We can partner on cleaning up the town. We are good influencers and volunteers that can obtain additional support for city improvements. We would much rather partner with you than oppose you. Thank you.
I have a request to speak. I'll call again a Jewel. Is there someone in the audience that has not been called upon that submitted a request to speak form? It could be. Is this you?
Yeah, my name's John Elhart. I'm president of the Golf Association at the Lakes of Hemet West. I'm pretty much in charge of all the men and women, the ladies golf, as well as we do partners golf. And we also have interpark where we have other parks come and play at our Jewels of the Valley. At our park, it's one of the best golf courses in all of Hemet. Any of you are more than welcome to come golf. We have a $5 guest fee, and I think I could find somebody that could waive that $5 guest fee for you if you want to come golf at our 9-hole golf course. We do have several holes that are bordering about 100 feet away from that warehouse project. We have several golfers here are 90 years old that are present. We have issues with pulmonary issues with lungs. We have veterans that are in this, as I'm a veteran as well from Vietnam. We have veterans here from Vietnam that have survived Vietnam and Agent Orange, and now we're going to have environmental issues coming with the diesel trucks as well. So anyway, appreciate your time. Have a good day.
I don't have any further request to speak forms. I do show somebody online requesting to speak.
Are there any members of the audience who have not had an opportunity to speak who would like to do so? Sir, please step up to the microphone. State your name for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Harlow Lenning. I live in Hemet. I was very upset to learn about these warehouses, and it seems like they're being kind of shoved down our throat. I would like to voice my support for all those who have spoken before. I am opposed to these. As I said, I personally drive the Acacia Kirby route several times each week, and I am going to have to now it looks like I'm going to have to fight diesel trucks. That road is not it was just to me that placing a warehouse so close to a park with such a and homes is such a very, very bad decision. I'm surprised that you guys did it, that you did that to us. And as I said, I support all the people who have illnesses and so forth like this. Warehouses do not belong in Hemet. Anyway, thank you for hearing me.
Is there anyone else from the audience who would like to speak this evening? Okay, well, thank you all very much for coming out. At this time, we're going to take a short recess. The gavel.
Thank you all for listening to us. I know we took about an hour and 15 minutes. That's how we do it. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for letting us run this on and on. Thank you for doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us tonight. I have a copy of that the area needs to our. I just have great rears. Are you aware of the? Say that again. I have nothing. Okay, and what's funny how we got outside. Oh, yes. Well, I'm just putting your face on it. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Who's ready to go? I call the planning commission meeting back to order. I do apologize. There was one person online for public comment, so I'm going to reopen the public comment period before we continue.
I have a Sharon Nguyen online requesting to speak. Sharon Nguyen, you can go ahead with your public comment.
Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm disappointed I didn't get to speak in front of those who were there, but you are the ones who are making the decisions. So I appreciate you letting me speak now. My husband and I moved to Hemet 12 years ago, approximately, from Atlanta, where there were plenty of cars and plenty of fuel emissions. And we came out here for to live in a peaceful, a safe, a beautiful retirement community. And while Hemet has its downsides, we think it has the potential for a beautiful, charming city. We actually participated earlier this year in the Beautify Hemet program. We picked up trash from Lowe's all the way down a few blocks on Acacia. That was we requested to pick up trash. My husband picks up trash when he walks in the morning, which is from Del Webb, where we live, quite for an hour and a half. So we appreciate our city. We are very close to Hemet West. It's about 9 miles. One of our concerns is that the trucks will come down Stetson to Warren and get on Dominagoni. How they're going to get in and out, we don't know. And there's other avenues to get on Dominagoni. We understand that, but that is a huge concern. The city panel came out. There were members of the city officials came out earlier this year and were gracious enough to talk to us about what's happening in Hemet. And they gave us figures on the astronomical cost of fixing our roads per mile. I mean, I was shocked. So, how are we going to take care of that? We're watching builders build up all around us with communities. When we first came here for years, we were called the island, or we fondly called ourselves the island. We're no longer an island, and we were sort of upset about that at first, but we're seeing beautiful houses go up around us, and we think that's going to bring revenue into Hemet. But if I was a builder, or if we were looking at Hemet now, knowing what we do about the warehousing, I don't think we'd be here. So for what it's worth, thank you for letting me make these comments. And thank you for making wise decisions on behalf of Hemet.
Thank you. And on behalf of the commission, I apologize for keeping you on hold for so long.
That's quite all right.
Ms. Hernandez, have we received any e-comments?
Yes, I did receive 4 e-comments that I will read into the record. First comment is from Frank Ross, and it reads as follows. No, please don't do this. It will change the entire quality of life we enjoy. Health risks, traffic congestion, air pollution, noise pollution, to name just a few bad consequences. Please don't do this. I have another comment from Hillary Ross. Please do not approve large warehouses or warehouse companies to build and operate inside our quiet, clean city. If these are approved, it will radically change the quality of life here. We do not want increased traffic and exhaust fumes. These exhaust fumes will jeopardize the health of many of our seniors who are already facing health issues/lung issues. People who have chosen to live here were seeking a clean, quiet, low traffic, affordable place to live. Having huge trucks coming and going day and night will radically change that. Find other clean ways to bring in revenue, please. Third electronic comment from Hillary Ross as well is the second comment. This is an additional comment to my earlier comment that I wrote today. These large, very heavy trucks that will be going back and forth continually will do great damage to our roads. Our roads are not built for this kind of wear and tear. These additional costs must be considered as offsets to any revenue generated. Fourth and last electronic comment received is from Richard Ujadowski. To the Planning Commission, please approve the building of new warehouses in Hemet. The additional jobs and tax revenue will benefit us. Thank you. That's the end of public comment received.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to agenda item number 5. Item number 5A is the approval of the minutes for the meeting. Oh, sorry. It's my first time. I'm going to close the public comment period, and we will move on to the next item, number 5A, which is the approval of the minutes for the Planning Commission meeting of July 16th, 2024. Do any of the commissioners have any comments or corrections on those minutes?
I do not.
I have none. May I ask for a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the Planning Commission meeting of July 16, 2024.
And I second it.
Vote. Like that motion passes. We will move on to item number 6, which is the discussion of action items. Item 6A, Director Alanis Flater. We have your report, please.
Thank you, Chair, members of the Planning Commission and the community. Monique Alanis Flater, Community Development Director. This evening is a work study presentation for the Planning Commission to receive a report and provide feedback and recommendation to our City Council on whether to include all specific plans within a recently adopted zoning code amendment to be included as part of the ordinance update. The proposed discussion item is in alignment with the council's strategic plan of quality of life to enhance the visual appearance of the community. Number 2, economic opportunity to promote a just diversified economic base and retain and attract new investments, industries, and employment opportunities, as well as to provide a strategic, proactive economic development program to attract and retain businesses to create sustainable jobs for the community, as well as best practices to evaluate existing best practices to ensure continuity with industry practices, which is along the strategic goal of organizational effectiveness. So over the past 3 years, there have been a noticeable difference, a noticeable increase, in the development of car wash facilities in our city. To ensure that the proposed use is in balance with the needs of the community, last summer, June of 2023, staff presented a work study to the City Council to discuss possible moratorium urgency ordinance to minimize the saturation of the car wash facilities. Pursuant to State Law Government Code 65858, a city may enact an interim zoning ordinance on an urgent basis for the protection of public safety, health, and welfare by prohibiting uses that the city intends to study within a time period. On August 8, 2023, the council adopted an interim urgency ordinance number 2023-2018, establishing a moratorium prohibition on new car washes pursuant to the government code section 65858 to analyze a potential change to the zoning ordinance to address the proliferation of car washes in the city. The car wash moratorium was set to expire on August 8th, 2024. And pursuant to state law, the expiration of the interim ordinance, the legislative body, the council shall, in this case, would receive and prepare a written report describing the measures taken to alleviate the condition that led to the adoption of the ordinance. And in response, on July 9th, 2024, the council adopted an ordinance to discontinue the allowance of new car wash, full or self-service in any commercial and manufacturing zoning district. And this specific ordinance outlines the requirements. And I would just like to briefly state what the update is, and this impacts all commercial and manufacturing zoning districts in the city, which would include the office professional, C1, C2, and CM zones, as well as the business park M1, M2 industrial zoning districts. There is a prescription contained within the ordinance. There is an exception. There are there are 2 applications in progress currently, and there are existing entitled car washes that have been entitled for development. So the new ordinance, it does provide the prohibition. However, any car wash that was lawfully constructed or approved with a conditional use permit prior to the effective date of the ordinance shall be legal nonconforming. A previously approved car wash shall be allowed to submit amendments to the approved conditional use permit to modify the previously approved car wash, subject to the review and discretion of the Planning Commission. At the City Council meeting, staff a motion was made to direct the city manager to look into also an option to whether or not to include the prohibition on car washes on specific planned areas. So the action was taken to adopt the zoning code amendment with the direction to refer the matter to the Planning Commission for recommendation back to the City Council. The council also extended the car wash moratorium on August 8th, 2025 to eliminate the lapse or to minimize the lapse in the moratorium prior to the effective date of the code adoption, and to receive the recommendation and discussion this evening from the Planning Commission. There are a number of specific plans identified that allow for car washes subject to conditional use permit. And one of the first one would be Acacia Overlay Zoning District. Although that is not a specific plan, it does prescribe specific uses that would be permitted, and contained within that overlay zone does allow for a car wash. In addition, there are 10 additional specific plans throughout the city that do allow for that. Of those, 3 already have existing car washes that are established and constructed on the site. And 2 of the 11 are entitled. This is, I'm kind of going to go backwards, but this is a map showing the locations in order that was presented 1 through 11, specific plans that do allow car washes throughout the city. Now, looking at this map here, when we analyzed initially, this is the 26 car washes identified already within the city that are existing, constructed, or entitled. So the question for the commission this evening is, would the commission desire to include the specific plan into the or moratorium, or to prohibit further? This would require a specific plan amendment. The amendment would have to be for each specific plan. We would have to notify those property owners. The discussion was also whether or not, if we did include the specific plans into a prohibition, the question would be how we would notify or notice the specific plan amendment. It could be one combined group specific plan amendment, but essentially tonight is just for the commission's direction on whether or not we should make a recommendation to the planning commission moving forward on how to proceed with the permitted uses of allowing car washes in the specific plans, which were excluded from the car wash. They were excluded from the zoning code amendment. This concludes my presentation. I would be happy to answer any questions and facilitate the discussion.
Do we have any questions or comments from the commission?
I do. What a shock. What precipitated this? What was the thing that started the wheels to go on this?
Last year, there was discussions, and at a council work study, it predated our work study session. The council met to go over the strategic goals in the city, and there were a few ideas that were presented as options and ways to improve the cities, including potentially in the future fencing requirements. And so planning presented a few topics in that discussion. And one of the discussions was that we have too many car washes in the city. From that point on, we moved forward with presenting a work study and potential option for the council to direct staff to pursue a moratorium to the extent that they adopted an urgency ordinance last summer.
Vice Chair, I have some questions. Hi, Monique. Thank you for that presentation. I'm a little confused though. Are you saying that there are some applicants prior to the moratorium that have to reapply for conditional use permits?
The existing entitlements do not have to reapply, and they would be exempt from the moratorium. They would be lawfully permitted to maintain their entitlement.
So those 26 that you put up there, they are basically grandfathered through. They're
essentially. Now there are two planning applications that we've received that predate the moratorium and the zoning code amendment that would have the opportunity to go through the development process as part of their conditional use permit application. So those would, so the 26 includes all existing, constructed, and entitled, some that are not built yet, as well as 2 that are pending applications.
okay. So those 2 applications are fine. They're going to go through. The moratorium does not apply to them.
That is correct. They would apply for, they still have a pending application,
right,
which still requires review by the planning commission.
Okay. So the discussion in the work study today is for us to make a recommendation or not a recommendation on the moratorium to the city council?
So this evening, the action that was taken by the council, they did adopt a moratorium.
Yeah.
The urgency ordinance, they did adopt an ordinance that prohibits new construction, new applications of car washes in the city in all of the commercial and manufacturing zones. The ordinance did not include specific plans. As part of the discussion, we presented that as an option as whether or not to include specific plan developments such as the Page Plaza, such as the automotive dealership. Those are all within specific planned. And also I wanted to mention the question was raised by Commissioner Clark, and I should have answered it this way into why this was even pursued. So the impetus behind that was that the continued allowance of added car washes could result in the loss of land that could be utilized for more desirable and sustainable uses, and that the overconcentration of the use is associated with low employment base, which is inconsistent with the goals of the city. I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that as to why we even took this forward. And also to ensure that we are looking at our economic stability in the city. And with the number of car washes in the city, it was determined that there are sufficient number of car washes to support the needs of the community. However, tonight, what the commission is considering is among those are 11 developments or site-specific plans that have the capacity or ability for someone to apply for a car wash that would be exempt from the moratorium. So there could be potentially 8 more car washes, presented to the commission and the council because they are located in a specific plan area, and a specific plan is its own zone. And if we were to prohibit a use that was specifically allowed in the specific plan, we would have to amend that specific plan. We would have to notify that property manager and property owner that there would be a change to the allowable uses on their property. So if we were to, this is more of a discussion, if the commission would like to consider that, and what was provided in the list before is that of the 11, 3 already have car washes on them. So my thought was there are already 3 existing, and perhaps we could look at it from a geographic perspective and where the locations of the specific plans are. But I really would just like to get the commission's reaction and feedback on, how the commission feels of including the car wash prohibition on these properties.
Okay. Well, I'm all for modifying the plan and the zoning amendment to match up with the moratorium. So I think it's a good step forward personally. Do you have any applicants that are pushing back on this in any way? Any new applicants or anybody like that?
Haven't received any opposition to date.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I yield to you.
I have a few clarifying questions before I move on. So to be clear, the interim ordinance that was approved was set to expire 2 days from today. Was that an urgency ordinance?
Yes, so there's 2 components to it. The interim urgency ordinance, and thank you for bringing that up, was set to expire on August 8th, 2024, which is Chair Pat mentioned, city council extended the urgency ordinance moratorium an additional year to allow for us to further explore whether to include specific plants.
Okay, yeah, I think you know why I'm asking the question. So being that now we've extended the urgency ordinance, this is not an actual moratorium per se as of yet. You still have an opportunity to amend the municipal code within the next year to permanently ban car washes through the zoning ordinance.
Yes, and so at the last city council meeting, the council considered and adopted the first reading of a prohibition where the code has been amended to address this in the commercial and the manufacturing zoning districts.
Okay, I want to be clear on terminology because my understanding is with a moratorium can only be in place for a specific amount of time before you either have to amend your municipal code permanently. And if you do not do that within the amount of time specified under the moratorium, that's your only one shot at the apple. You don't get to come back again with another moratorium later.
That is correct. So this was the last extension on the moratorium. So the council initially approved it last year. It requires the initial moratorium was 45 days, and then there are certain prescriptions of government code that require you to extend it. So it was extended for 1 year. You're allowed one more extension. The council acted upon that at the last city council meeting separately. There was a separate action in which the council extended the moratorium pursuant to state law, but this is the last extension. So we have technically, so there was two parts to that. They extended the ordinance, they extended the moratorium. They also took a separate action in which they were ready to approve a zoning code amendment to prohibit car washes in the city, in the commercial and manufacturing zoning districts through a zoning code amendment. However, what they didn't act upon was whether or not to include specific plans. We weren't prepared at the time to take that option forward. In order for us to consider this, the council did extend the moratorium on car washes citywide, which technically impact specific plans now. So as of now, car washes are prohibited citywide, even in specific plans. However, as Chair Pat mentioned, we only have so much time to make that decision whether or not to explore specific plan amendments to prohibit those or to pursue an amendment to the specific plans.
Okay, thank you for that. With respect to the specific plans themselves, are there any of the specific plans that rely on the city's municipal code for their land use standards? Or does each specific plan have its own set of land use standards?
That's a good question, and we would have to explore that. In many cases, the specific plan will defer to the zoning code. The specific plan will identify explicitly that is permitted subject to conditional use permit. In some cases, it will refer to the zoning code for the development standards if it's not in place. But each specific plan was adopted at a different time and period, and some are more specific and clear, rather than and there are others that are not as clear. So we would have to explore that.
Okay, if there are any that refer to the municipal code, then a ban on car washes would then apply to that specific plan or those specific plans only. My next question regarding the specific plans, you mentioned that there are 3 that currently have car washes. Is there anything that would prohibit any of those specific plans to build more car washes? Like, is it one per specific plan? Could it be 10 per specific plan? Is there anything in those specific plan documents that would limit the number of car washes? Because if the ordinance does not apply to the specific plans, they have a corner on the market for car washes.
That's an excellent comment. Yes, so I would agree there is no limit on the number of car washes in a specific plan. However, specific plans do identify land uses such as the Page Plaza. It may already be built out at this point in time. However, that does not prohibit someone from coming in and proposing a new pad site. And in that case, there is nothing in our ordinance currently that would limit them or limit them from applying for approval.
My thought and feeling on this is if it is the council's desire to in fact ban additional car washes, then we should apply those standards to the specific plan, each specific plan land use matrix or land use standards for each specific plan or both. And if the council doesn't have issue with perhaps a car wash going into Page Plaza, then they could omit that particular specific plan. But my recommendation would be to include the ban citywide, including all specific plans. You either ban them or you don't, the way I see it. Sure, absolutely. I will open it up for discussion if the commission wants to discuss before entertaining a motion.
Well, first of all, I did a bit of research on the car washes itself because I want to look at it from both sides. And I looked East Coast, West Coast, all over the place. As a discussion about location specific, the mere fact that we have the car washes that we do in such locations is probably oversaturated from what I can determine. They're on a common road. Everyone mostly goes down those roads, and placing them in other places in the city would be poor use of the land. That's what a lot of people feel in residential or, into a different zone. This is being driven, the boom of car washes is being driven by private equity and the subscription-based business. So you buy a month, give them your credit card, and it goes and goes and goes until you stop it. Whether you get your money's worth or not is not of issue. Car wash takes a lot of space. It does not provide an employment, a substantial employment base. It's only a handful of people that need to run it, if at all. And the reason why we've shifted this is because we've got the water conservation, we've got the do-it-yourselfers that, remember being 16 and you're washing your car and vacuuming it out and all of that? Well, we don't have that time anymore. And so it is very appealing to go somewhere that will do the job for you, because Lord behold, we got to have clean cars. But the owner income of such entity can be 40 to 86,000 each.
It's very lucrative.
So it is. It's lucrative, but we as a city don't gain a whole lot. We lose a lot of property. I say nix-nay the car washes.
You're in agreement.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
very much so. Could we include the convenience and the gas stations on every corner too? Because that was the other drive, was in that, because they are there. So That's my view.
Did we give you what you were looking for?
I believe I have the direction that I've been provided, and from what I'm hearing is that the commission is in support of including the specific plans into the prohibition.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Do you need a formal motion from this body?
So this will be a recommendation, and I will take this to the city council with requesting them to direct the next process. And at that time, to initiate or direct staff to prepare specific plan amendment.
Vice Chair Pep, if I may, I would suggest doing a motion since this is a recommendation from the commission. If it were just a report, a receiver report, we could forego a motion, but since this is a recommendation, I would suggest that a motion be had.
That said, I will entertain a motion.
Okay. I'll make a motion to provide feedback and recommendation to the city council on whether to include all specific plans with the recently adopted zoning code amendment, discontinuing the allowance of car washes in the city.
Seconded.
Moving on to item number 7, work study, item 7A. Deputy Public Works Director Jillian Ferris, please, staff report.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. This is a presentation on the status of our current and planned street improvement projects in the city of Hemet. And this is consistent with our strategic plan integration quality of life, item number 1. So street improvements are part of, let's see, oh wait, sorry, read that. The engineering division is responsible for managing the city's capital improvement program, which includes the maintenance and repair of the city's street infrastructure. The city utilizes various funds for these projects, such as SB1 Road Maintenance Rehabilitation Account, Measure A, and grant funding. This presentation summarizes the recently completed street improvement projects and the planned projects in the upcoming year or two. So streets are selected utilizing the City of Hemet's pavement management plan, which is updated every 5 years. The pavement management plan is a tool that helps the city plan for pavement improvement projects. It is a system that rates the roadway condition called the Pavement Condition Index, or PCI, on a scale from 0 to 100. And that is the vertical column shown here on the graph. The type of repair for the roadway is based upon the PCI rating. There are 3 major types of general pavement repairs designated as slurry seal, grind and overlay, and removal and replacement. So slurry seals are the least expensive pavement maintenance and are typically utilized on streets with PCIs of approximately 70 to 75 and above. So that would be the good, satisfactory, and maybe a portion of the fair there in the top. Grind and overlays are more expensive than slurry seals, but do not require full reconstruction of the roadway and typically work for roadways with approximately 40 PCI and above. So that would be in the poor to fair range on the graph here. So typically anything less than this is a full removal and replacement and is the most costly form of roadway improvements. So it's typically beneficial to catch the roadway repairs before it moves into the next type of repair. For example, catching a roadway at slurry seal before it falls into grind and overlay, or catching a grind and overlay before it falls into removal and replacement. The City of Hemet uses these PCIs to categorize streets for slurry seal projects, grind and overlay projects, and removal and replacement projects. Obviously, slurry seals are much less expensive and can cover a larger area when compared to full removal and replacement. So approximate costs right now are about $2 to $3 a square foot for slurry seal projects, $3 to $5 a square foot for grind and overlay projects, and over $7 a square foot for removal and replacement projects. All right, so this is a graph showing all of the street projects that we have right now that have been completed and that are currently in design, construction, or out to bid. The figure shows the completed projects in pink and the proposed projects are in blue. So CIP 5713 was completed last fiscal year and included the complete replacement or partial replacement of asphalt for Acacia Avenue from Lyon Avenue to the east of Palm Avenue, Devonshire Avenue from Sanderson Avenue to Kirby Street, and Buena Vista from Stetson to Johnston, and Devonshire Avenue from State Street to Harvard Street. CIP 5748 was also completed last fiscal year and included slurry seal of several neighborhoods near Mustang Way and Fisher Street, Menlo Avenue and Kirby Street, Buena Vista Street and Fruitvale Avenue, Menlo Avenue and Girard Street, and Fruitvale Avenue and Palm Avenue, as well as Thornton and Santa Fe Streets. Dominagoni Parkway was also included in this project from the westerly city limits to Searle Parkway. CIP 5755 was just completed within the last few months and included Costin Avenue from Menlo to Devonshire, Santa Fe Street from Menlo to Oakland, as well as Marion Avenue to Valverde Drive, Olive Tree Lane, Trevor Lane, Woodland Drive, Teresa Circle, and portions of Warren Road north of Esplanade Avenue. So those are all the completed projects this past fiscal year, and these are the proposed projects that are coming up in the next year or so. The repairs on the projects still in design could vary depending on the actual geotechnical recommendations. 'Cause sometimes the PCI can recommend something, but after a geotechnical investigation, it determines that there's more structural issues than were anticipated and stuff like that. So CIP 5690 is currently under construction and is almost completed. And it included portions of Corwin Place, Cary Drive, and Banbury Drive, the neighborhood at Lincoln Avenue and Hemet Street, Acacia Avenue between Harvard and San Jacinto Street, Girard Street from Florida Avenue to the city limits, and portions of the neighborhood at Thornton Avenue and Gilbert Street. CIP 5749 is our largest planned street improvement project, and it includes Lincoln Avenue from Tabby Lane to Zolder Street, Park Avenue from Dartmouth Street to Lincoln Avenue, Devonshire Avenue from Girard to Columbia, State Street from Stetson to Kimball Avenue, Johnston Avenue from State Street to Augusta Street, Acacia from Kirby to Lyon, Lyon from Acacia to Whittier, and Costin from Industrial Avenue to Hollyvale Lane, Thornton Avenue from Costin to Sanderson, Gilbert Street from Stetson to the edge of pavement south of Chambers, Fruitvale from Sanderson Avenue to Lyon Avenue, and Eaton Avenue from Kirby to Lyon. So this will be our largest one in the upcoming year. It is currently in design. We should have 60% plans within probably by the end of the week. CIP 5761 is scheduled to start on August 19th, and it includes all of the roadways within the Auto Mall. And this project is planned to be completed by November of this year. CIP 5763 is currently in design and includes Dominagoni Parkway from Searle Parkway to State, Costin from Florida to Watts Lane, Oakland from Lyon to Elk, Gilbert from Latham to Acacia, Whittier from Palm to Buena Vista, Santa Fe from Stetson to Marion Avenue, and Valverde Drive to Whittier Avenue, and Berkeley Avenue from Genesee Drive to Saboba Street. CIP 5764 is also currently in design and includes State Street from Menlo Avenue to Devonshire, and Stetson Avenue from Sanderson Avenue and Kirby Street, as well as State Street from State Street to Santa Fe. It includes two sections there of Stetson. CIP 5765 is currently out for bid and includes Lyon Avenue from Esplanade to Hackney Street, Raymond Street from Florida to Acacia, Columbia from Grand Teton Avenue to Florida Avenue, Palm Avenue from Thornton to Chambers, Fremont Place, Magnolia Circle, and Gardena Circle. So CIP 2403 is currently in design, and this includes Kirby Street from Esplanade to Florida Avenue and includes various different forms of improvements from slurry seal to full removal and replacement. And the last CIP that is planned is CIP 2406, which is currently having survey done in preparation for design and includes Stetson Avenue from Via del Echo to Santa Fe Street, Kirby Street from Garland to Stetson, Charlton Avenue from Hemet Street to Saboba Street, Grove Lane from Park Avenue to Vista Way, and Vista Way from 150 feet west to 250 feet east of Grove Lane. And this concludes our presentation on the status of our city streets. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Do we have any questions from the commissioners?
I do. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I would like to present these photos as exhibits, and I've also sent these via email to Monique and the Planning Commission. This is Park Avenue near Menlo, and so I'll show you these. These are just three of the potholes that are kind of next to each other. There are a total of 21 of these potholes in this particular area. I don't think there's an area in Hemet that is in more disrepair than this area of Park Avenue and Menlo. And I would request that the city staff take a look at this area and reconsider this in your bids.
But we currently actually have a grant application out for the active transportation cycle 7, and it is for Menlo Avenue between State Street and Park Avenue. And it's the full removal and replacement of all the asphalt, construction of sidewalk, bike lanes, streetlights, all of that. So we applied for that in June, and we're hoping to get results back by December.
But does it include Park Avenue?
The intersection there, yes. Mhm.
No, I mean Park Avenue,
Are you referring to the intersection at Menlo or?
beyond the intersection.
Okay. It does not. It only includes Menlo through the intersection of Park. Okay.
So this is Park Avenue. I notice it's not on there. You got parts of Park Avenue on there. But this is really, really bad section.
The difficult thing with really, really, really bad streets is, as you know, I mentioned, it's the most expensive. And so, you know, our money does not go as far as it used to, as everybody knows. So we're trying to catch as many streets as we can before they move on to the next one, because we can get more bang for our buck in terms of getting more streets done.
Yeah, I know. And, you know, maybe this was overlooked in the analysis, you know, when they were driving around the city. I know it's probably on the edge of the city limits of District 1, but, I think it does bear looking at because it is really, really bad. I mean, I don't think there's another street in the city as bad as this.
Maybe Gerard.
And
We
you,
can definitely consider it for the, you know, SB1, because that's typically the funds that we use for our removal and replacement.
can we, yeah. Did you see these? Or can you give those to her?
What segment of Park Avenue are we talking about? I'm sorry, between what streets?
If she could put the map up there, I will show you.
The CIP 5749. I think.
So it's where Menlo Avenue is.
Yeah, right there.
Okay. So let me get back to the mic.
Is this south of Menlo or is this north?
It is right here. Probably from here all the way to there. All the way to, you know where Hewitt is?
Uh-huh.
There, all the way to here.
So that going north of Menlo is, there's not much in the city of Hemet. The remainder of that is in the city of San Jacinto.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, I live in the city of Hemet, and half of Park, obviously San Jacinto, but the Hemet side is horrendous, and it is one of the most traveled because of the subdivisions that are in San Jacinto and the subdivisions that are in Hemet. So that is 5 o'clock in the evening, a good 15-20 minute stop sign.
Yeah.
Stop, go. And it is so traveled. Very, very bad.
All right, we could definitely look at getting that on our CIP in the coming year.
Would appreciate it.
Commissioner Clark, any comments, questions or comments?
I've just been following along my little listing.
I'm just curious, not that it matters. I really appreciate your presentation and the exhibits that you brought forth. Do you have any information that would show which segments of roadways for each of the CIP projects were like grind and resurface versus, or slurry seal versus complete rehabilitation of the roadway?
I mean, I can, yeah. I mean, I don't have one on me right now, but yeah, I can provide
Just
that.
for future reference, that would be beneficial for us.
Absolutely.
And I'm curious regarding the different CIP project numbers, how did specific roadway segments get attributed to those particular numbers? Is it based on funding or?
Based, like certain ones are slurry seal. And so we look at our pavement management plan and look at the ones that are the lowest that are in the slurry seal. So we want to catch those before they go into the grind and overlay. And we try to get group them together as best as we can. But that's kind of, and then when we go to grind and overlay, same thing, we try to find the ones that have the lowest PCI before it moves into full removal and replacement. And then, so typically, we use Measure A for our grind and overlay. Our SB1 is utilized for the removal and replacement. And then slurry seal, I think, also comes from Measure A as well. So we try to keep them the same type of repair within a project. Sometimes there'll be some areas that need a little bit of grind and overlay in a slurry, or, you know, just a portion of the roadway, but typically we try to keep them the same type of repair. So.
Okay, then I'm also just curious, not that it really matters a lot, but there's a finite amount of funds available every
Correct.
year. So how do you determine your best bang for the buck when it comes to, say, doing a slurry seal on a marginal road versus rehabilitating a horrible section of road that needs to be completely rebuilt? Maybe you can slurry seal, I don't know, 10 miles of road for every half a mile of road you have to completely rebuild.
Well, we try to do at least one of each a year. That way we're at least, you know, we can't just leave the roads that are falling apart. But, so we use the SB1 funds, which I believe is about 2.5 million a year that we get. And that's on removal and replacement, but it goes, like you said, a lot less farther than, you know, a couple $100,000 for slurry seal. So we just divide, and then Measure A, I believe we get about 2.5 million as well on grind and overlay. So we just, budget those into the CIP based upon the amount that we get from each fund.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I do have one. Could we get a report or where the citywide pavement what they say, the survey, once it's done and completed, can we find out the results
of the pavement management plan?
Yeah, well, yeah, the citywide pavement survey. It was to be announced, and you have, I believe, 90,000 allotted for it. It's to be determined.
Okay, I can look into that for you and get you.
Yeah, I would like to know what the results are, because I guess that's our starting point for us, you know?
No, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
No, those are for you.
Moving on to item number 8 on the agenda, which is city attorney reports.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
And item 8B, community development reports.
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Item 8C, future agenda items.
Future agenda items include Freddy's Restaurant drive-through, High Point Apartments, a drive-through modification for the former location of the Long John Silver site. And at the upcoming meeting will be street name approval for the Planning Commission's consideration.
Okay, item 8D, Planning Commissioner reports. Ramoni?
Vice Chair Pat.
The only thing I wanted to speak about today was I've brought this up before, but there's a wonderful use almost directly across the street from my backyard. It's the center. They do therapy for disabled children on horseback. They have an event coming up this weekend. It's called Coffee with Horses. If you have an opportunity to check it out, maybe bring your grandchildren. For a modest donation, you can have enjoy some warm beverages or cold beverages. Nothing, I don't think they have for adult beverages though. And snacks for the kids. It's a fun event. It's a fundraiser for them. So I try to put a shout out for them whenever I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hill?
You know, I'm wondering if we should have a special meeting on this warehouse application issue that seems to be popping up every so often here. And recently we've had a lot of public interest in this issue. And I would recommend that we have that special meeting and maybe with city council and come to maybe a conclusion on what we're going to do, maybe modify the general plan or something. I don't know, but I think it's worth a discussion with city council.
Thank you. Commissioner Clark?
Nothing to report except for I'd like to know what's going on with H&H Plastics at the old Rancho Vet.
Yes, so H&H Plastics is in civil plan check currently. They are proceeding forward with the improvement plans.
So how long does he have? I felt really urgent for the poor man.
The commission took action by extending the
Right.
entitlement, which gives them the time that is necessary to obtain his grading permits and his civil improvement plans, as well as to pursue his building tenant improvements. Yes.
Hope he's in the next 6 months.
Yes, so based on what I know of the civil improvement plan, he's getting close. And as you know, as identified to the commission, they had significant progress that was made towards obtaining their permits.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Oh, that was it.
Okay, well, then in that case, there being no further business to discuss, this meeting is adjourned to the next planning commission meeting scheduled for August 20th, 2024 at 6 p.m.